everybody, and welcome to the next episode of Foundry Files. I'm Weeby.
Hi, I'm Romer. We're here again. I thought we'd only do one episode.
Yeah, because a one-episode series is an excellent idea, Murphy. I'll note that down somewhere.
Yeah, I thought we were going to move on to our Lockbox podcast, but apparently somebody didn't like that idea. I like that idea. I mean, lockboxes are cool. Just saying. But yeah, so welcome to Foundry Files, the entirely 100% Foundry podcast, which means we're going to be covering STFs later on, so stay tuned. Lying. But anyway, we got some news this week. We'll cover some basic news. We've got some reviews. We're going to cover some reviews. We'll get into that when we get to there.
We've also got a spotlight, which I will cover in a minute as well.
Yep, along with our news, and then possibly a quick community feedback, or else that will just be in the credits with all the info for some stuff that we have going on right now, especially our trailer contest information later on in the show on that if you missed the episode 1. So, let's roll right into news.
And on to our first bit of news, this week's Foundry Spotlight, keeping up with the Gisens, or the Sens as I've heard a couple of people call it.
It's kind of like pronouncing Wee Wee's name. There's a bunch of ways to say it.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, the Gisens are a non-aligned race and have asked the Deferi for aid in resettling a remote colony away from the front lines of the Federation Klingon conflict. The Deferi ambassador to the Federation has requested assistance in fulfilling this mission. So this looks to be more of a diplomatic mission, because you've got the Deferi involved, and this type of thing should be for those people who would probably like more dialogue options than combat.
And that's just with Cryptic's description they gave out there. We could be completely wrong. I haven't played it. Wee hasn't played it, but
Nah, I haven't.
there's Cryptic spotlighting it, so probably pretty good. I actually did have this on my list to play through. I had like a whole big list of Foundry missions I wanted to play through, and this was on it. So actually, it's kind of cool to see it spotlighted. It just nails it home that, hey, maybe we should check it out, because it sounds like it's getting noticed by Cryptic. So speaking of spotlights, StarTrek.com just got a guest blog post over there, speaking of all the spotlights that happened in the month of September. So let's see what missions were spotlighted there, and congrats to all these authors who got their missions spotlighted. One Too Many by XR377. Stray Dogs by Dark Frontiers, without an A for whatever reason. I don't know. Checks and Balances by My God, It's Full of Stars! And Betrayal of the Empire, Part 1 by Evil 70th. So, 4 missions there, spotlighted over last month. You can go check it out. And then, the Ask Cryptic came out, Wee Wee. Was there a lot of Foundry news in that?
Not really.
No.
But there was a little hint about the Foundry. When asked about the future of exploration, D-Star answered, "We have been reading some of the 5 proposals that have been posted on the forums, as well as discussing the role that the Foundry should play in exploration."
So, again, we've heard him in the past saying, authors have recommended, why don't you just throw all the missions, Foundry missions, to Exploration Cluster, so when they go there, you just go into Exploration Cluster and boom, random Foundry mission. Maybe that's what people have been
I know there's a lot of controversy around that, though.
I know, me too.
I
actually don't like that
whether
idea.
somebody wants their mission flagged for such an exploration.
I think I have one in mind that's Exploration. I feel like that might have fit there if I just said, okay, now it's just randomly somewhere in our galaxy. I think there's a lot of missions out there that could do that, but again, I don't think that's the way you'd want to do it. But there's some missions out there I think could be thrown into Exploration in some way.
Oh, I agree.
But the role the Foundry should play in Exploration, that's an interesting thing to think of. I don't want their entire... I have my own opinion on Cryptic using Foundry content as their own, and we'll probably cover that in a community feedback in the future. But I feel like some Foundry missions out there could be used as Exploration stuff that pops up every once in a while. That'd be cool. And if that's like a branch of Exploration that they're going to be revamping in Season 10 or 11 or whenever, they don't really have it on the plate right now, it seems. It would be cool to see some Foundry stuff in there, but I really think Exploration is something they have to work on themselves instead of just using the Foundry. But my gut feeling says they will be really looking to the Foundry to improve their Exploration in the game. It just has to be done right, I think. Right now it's not being done right. What do you think, Wee, on Exploration? What do you think that is the major thing they need to do to fix it?
Possibly to just, literally what D-Star answered, go out into space and do something. Now, that's... I hate to say it, but that's kind of what they've done with the current exploration missions, but unfortunately they're all the same. So, and it's just limited to one sector. So what we really need is some kind of tool that will allow us to do that. And we already have that. That's a generative program, but adding the Foundry to it would allow more variety. And I think a flagging system for Foundry missions which want to flag them, for authors to flag them as exploration missions so they can just be discovered randomly is a good idea, because I know I've run into a couple of missions. My own missions, for example, won't want to be flagged because I just don't want them like that.
They're not exploration.
So, no, they're not. So that kind of a flagging system, I think, would be a good addition.
Actually, I really like your idea for exploration there. I could totally get behind that, where an author can check off a box that says, throw this in exploration content. And then you wouldn't run across, like, currently right now, even if you go into an exploration cluster, you just run across a group that's kill 5 of 5. That's not exploration in any way. And I think that's what made some people have major problems with exploration, so... exploration's something on their far plate right now, so we don't even know if they're actually going to do it. They're talking about it, but they said it's not going to be season 7, 8, or 9, or anytime soon. So,
well, whatever the way they've done it, I hope some kind of Foundry aspect is introduced to it.
Yeah, I definitely think because even if I don't think Cryptic can make enough story exploration missions to make the player happy. So if there was a way to check off a box and say this is an exploration mission, so throw it in, that would be the way to do it. So. Just some friendly advice, Cryptic, from your friends at Foundry Files. And now let's get on to some advice for Foundry authors as we review their missions in mission reviews.
And welcome to our mission review, the Grail of Kahless. This is a Klingon mission, so...
What?
Yes, this is a
That's
Klingon
it, I'm
mission.
out. Goodbye. I don't like the Klingons. We're fighting them in a war. I'm gone. Bye. Alright, tell us some stuff about this mission. I think I can contain my anger for a bit before I go shoot some Klingons and PvP.
Okay. The start. This mission has 39 players as of this recording. It has an average star rating of 3.59. That's pretty mediocre. And is a combat-heavy mission with some simple story. It's suggested for team play, though it's not required.
Yeah, it says in the dialogue, just, hey, bring some friends along. And I agree. When we get to gameplay, I will say the gameplay is much more fun in a group than single. But that's usually the case in any mission, so. Alright, story. Very simple story for this mission. You are on the hunt to Cardassia Prime to recover the Grail of Kahless! Hopefully I didn't blow out the mic on that. Anyway, will you be able to steal this artifact from those Cardi dogs and return it to the glorious Empire? I should really leave the Klingon role-playing to Skates of Stovall Corps, because I'm terrible at it.
Yes, you are.
You can tell I am a Fed player.
If Gates of Stovall Corps ever invited one of us to, it would not be you.
No, don't invite me, Gates of Stovall Corps, ever. Invite him.
Don't invite him.
He's the one who likes the Klingons more than the Feds. Me, I just want to shoot them. I just want them to go away and lose the war and then be our slaves. And except for the Orion slave girls, I'm telling you, they're the best thing on that faction. I mean... Never mind. Can we get back to the story review now instead of talking about the Orion slave girls wee-wee? Is that fine with you?
Yeah, it's your segment,
okay.
Pass.
Okay, here we go. Pretty good and simple story. There were 2 little things that I considered plot holes on. There's a part that assumes your ship has a cloaking device on it, which not all Klingon ships do. So you're like, oh, I don't have a cloak. How am I getting here? Wee-wee has an easy workaround, though, for something like that. What do you do in your missions, Wee-wee, when you say a Klingon ship has to cloak?
Well, what I used was a special technique, because the 3-piece honor guard set from the SCF has something called a mask energy field, which works basically the same as the cloaking device. And what I've used is, and what I suggested in this mission, something similar, or like the mask energy signature power from the science power is another good workaround. You can perhaps put in the dialogue to suggest that this has happened because something like a Vokuv, or in my case a Scourge Destroyer, doesn't have a cloaking device, so they don't present the same benefits. So that means the entire, process of getting to the planet is kind of negated because you're not cloaked. And if you're not cloaked, the Cardis will spot you.
And it assumes you're cloaked when you're approaching
mission over.
Yeah, and it assumes you're cloaked when you're approaching those Cardi battleships. But for you, it's like, they can see me. I'm in a Nausicaan ship. I can't cloak. So,
yeah.
Mask Energy Signature, even throwing that in, is a great way of just avoiding that dialogue plot. There's also another one. I don't want to... It's a bit story spoilerly, but I will say the ending on a couple of the reasonings of what happens is kind of a stretch. Now, if there was a sequel to this to explain what happened, I think it could be easily explained, but it's a little bit of a stretch at first. I don't want to go too much into it. But, it's very minor plot hole stuff, but the mission isn't really like major, like dialogue heavy and plot heavy as something like you'd see from a huge 3-hour chunk mission. This is about what was the gameplay time on this? 15 minutes, you'd say? So not much.
Yeah.
So it's a really short mission, but it's still pretty fun. Playing characters, nothing really remarkable about them. I don't even remember the names. It's just the contact you talk to who assigns you the mission, and then like 2 cardies. That's about it. The rest is really going into more of the combat aspect and shooting stuff up.
I think one of the Kahless was like Goal to Law or something.
Something with that, but you really only talk to him for a little bit, and that's about it. But
yeah.
So there's not much here with character-wise or character development. It's really just them there as people to interact with just a little bit to progress the story. Some touchstoning on the Grail. Wee Wee, do you want to talk a little about this since you are more acquainted with Klingon history than this guy?
Well, in this mission, it's explained that the Grail of Kahless is essentially the other side to the Sword of Kahless. Everybody knows the Sword of Kahless. I'm hoping a lot of you have seen the DS9 episode, The Sword of Kahless, where like Core, Worf, and Jadzia, they all go find it in the Herc Outpost and that kind of stuff. And of course, they've got the Fakiri arc, which involves you getting the Sword of Kahless right at the end. Now, the Grail is explained in this mission to be the other side of it. It's supposed to complete the prophecy and that kind of stuff.
So Wee Wee, can you explain more of what the other side of the Grail of Kahless means for people who don't know what the crap's going on?
What it means is the Sword of Kahless has a prophecy and all that kind of stuff. The Grail of Kahless in this mission is explained to complete that prophecy in its own way. You have to play the mission to find out exactly what it is. Okay. Of course, no spoilers.
Oh, it is a spoiler? Okay.
So it's essentially Sword of Kahless and Grail of Kahless equals essentially 1.
Okay. To a Fed person like me, it's a thing, and it does something. That's what it means to me as a Fed player. Because, come on, we're the techies. The Klingons are more like, there's mystical prophecy thingies. I'm going to get shot by some Klingons after this episode. I can tell. And no grammar and spelling errors. Let's move on for story quick before I get shot. Story received a 7.93, 12th ranked in story. Okay, go. Okay, quick, technical. Oh, wait, that's me. Let me do that real quick. All right. Excellent. Cardassian city map. That was really cool. I mean, we first beamed down, we're like, nice. This seems like something you'd see in a really popular tech mission with custom maps and stuff like you'd see at City of the Palmarie. This seems like something you would have seen in that mission from that author or any other author who does some really cool map building stuff. And then also the comment where the Grail was kept, that was a pretty cool setup for that. You liked that.
Oh, definitely.
But yeah, I think the really big highlight was the Cardassian city map. That really boosted its score in our map usage category. Other than that, most of the maps are pretty simple. But this one really stood out. I think if he improved a couple of the other maps just to make them look different, it could have been really great in that aspect. One thing I picked up on this playthrough, I played it alone before. I did not pick this up. I don't know why I picked it up now. But he has timed triggers, which is the workaround where you use 2 mobs to fight each other, and when one dies, it does something to the map. He does that when you shut down the generators. Another mob will beam in far off the map, and then they'll combat. And when the one dies, it triggers an explosion of the generator, so there's a little bit of a cool countdown on that. So that was cool to see. Other than the city being really creative and really awesome, not much other than that, but still, pretty cool feat. When you beam down, you will be like, whoa, this is cool. It's something you expect in a cryptic mission, like when they built the Jafari city or something like that. And then the instructions, this is another mission where the instructions could use some improvement. They weren't terrible, but they could be more clear in some of the mission objective prompts and the dialogue prompts and stuff like that, but not too big there. Tech scored a 7.72. It's our 8th ranked in technical, so not bad either on that front. All right, Game Master, Dungeon Master, whatever, I guess we can't say that until we review a Neverwinter mission if we do that. So, just go. You can go ahead.
Yeah. Let's delve right into it, shall we? Space gameplay, to start with, was weak. There was the standard stuff like reach markers, interactable objects, nothing really that special.
You did some effing.
That's kind of the problem. Yeah. Improvements could be made in this area, especially in this area, but it's mainly a ground-orientated mission.
Yeah.
The space gameplay, kind of a passing reference, is more like in this mission. Make up for it, space combat could have been good, but that unfortunately was also kind of weak. There's just a mob or 2 in space, and then you're done.
Just a Cardassian, one Cardassian ship, and that's it. Which is kind of sad for something that's supposed to be heavy gameplay. as it says in the mission, like heavy combat. One mob in space, I don't consider heavy combat at all.
No, there's no epic combat scenes or unique maps to help combat feeling better. Especially with the new unique map, that's something we haven't seen before. A unique map, which is just like against one ship, and then you're suddenly moving about asteroids or a nebula. You don't know what's happening. You can't see them or anywhere. That's something I would like to see in a future Foundry mission. Just as a tip to anybody who's watching.
Get some bonus points.
Oh yeah. Anyway, onto ground gameplay. That was functional.
That was fun.
Which was better. There was the standard stuff, like in space, reach markers, interact objects. Nothing special, same as space as mentioned. It was mainly dictated by the ground combat, which kind of raises the stakes in the ground gameplay. It's better than the space one. It's more than a passing reference.
That's where the core of the mission takes place on.
Yeah, ground combat was engaging. This was the primary part of the mission. A lot of mobs spread out into different areas of the maps, which make it interesting. It looks like nearby areas with Cardis were responding to disruptor fire from your Klingon ships or whatever kind of weapon you use. And there are some difficult squads that makes the player think about tactics. And this, combined with the mob spread, makes it interesting because you've got a corner here, you've got a building in the way, and behind that building is another Cardassian that's part of the same squad. Now he could come rushing over behind that building, all of a sudden shoot you in the back from nowhere.
Yeah,
and it could be anything. It could be an ensign level squad, it could be a goal, it could be a glin, it could be anything. You have to watch out for those. There are improvements available in gameplay overall. Perhaps not puzzles, which would bolster up the gameplay aspect in both space and ground. More space combat is a good addition. It's always a good addition. That's probably one of the primary aspects in STO and the entire game as a whole, because people like to go into space and just shoot stuff with a unique shape, and do this bit for a month. And on this mission, it's just a passing reference. So I suggest something more mobs or some kind of stacking or something similar to on the ground, like something behind an asteroid, something along those lines perhaps. But ground combat, on the other hand, doesn't need an improvement. And as mentioned,
really.
It's the driving force behind this mission. It's fantastic. I love that ground combat. And I'm not saying that from a biased point of view.
I enjoyed the ground combat. I felt it was a little grindy as a solo player, but that's just because ground combat takes a while when you're solo, and he does recommend group play. I think it was more fun to enjoy the ground combat with the group. But yeah, definitely. Now, I do want to clarify, by placing more mobs, we do not mean just place a bazillion, because then that just makes it a grind fest. But just a little more, just so it's more than one ship, or just maybe when you take on that one ship, there's another mob there, so it's 2 cruisers or something like that. Just something more difficult than just one. Because with Wee Wee's awesome Cleon build, he wiped that thing out in 2 seconds. I was just like, why am I here?
Yeah,
might as well go hang out somewhere else.
That's kind of the disadvantage of refining a build for months on end and making like a hugely damage escort, or on the ground case, just a massive shotgun burst would destroy half the group or something.
Yep.
And on that note, it's probably better for those people who enjoy ground combat more. If you don't enjoy ground combat, or you have a weak combat character, you have no idea how to do ground combat whatsoever, then I probably wouldn't recommend this mission.
No.
But overall though, gameplay scored a 5.07, which, I hate to say it, put it in the last place in terms of gameplay.
Yeah, for a mission that was supposed to be mainly focused on gameplay, it has scored probably the worst. So
yeah,
I don't want to say worst, like it was bad, it was good, but I think it definitely, for something that needs to be more gameplay oriented, I think it could use a lot more improvement on that front. Because I know Kirk Fat's intention was, so we reviewed on Stoked Foundry Files his mission where he made it all about non-combat and trying to see if you could do a good non-combat mission on dialogue, and that worked. Go play it. It was what's the title of that one? Do you remember that? I don't remember.
That was Needs of the Few, I think.
That was it. Needs of the Few. Yeah. Go check it out if you like a good non-combat mission. That one was, we really liked that. This one, however, I don't think he succeeded in that challenge.
If I recall, Needs of the Few actually broke out a scoring system.
I think it did for gameplay at least.
Yeah.
We're not gonna admit it though on the show. Quick, future me, cut it out.
Yeah,
and in case I forgot about that, let's just move on so the people forget in about a minute about our summary. So it's a quick, fun mission for somebody who just wants to hop on a Cleon and do a quick story mission, because it only takes about 15 minutes. So if you're like, oh, I only have about 15 minutes to log in the game and do something, and you don't want to do a grind for dilithium or just a quick daily, or your dumb Foundry daily that hits a console 3 times and gets you your dilithium. Not that I hate them. Anyway, yeah, quick story, and it's not the best example of a gameplay type mission. So, if you're one who just likes to go in and shoot crap, only do that if you like shooting crap on ground. Because you you do a lot of ground combat shooting in this mission, and it's quite fun. But overall, it scored a 6.91, 15th ranked in our scoring system. So, alright, pretty good, actually. I think just for hopping on a Cleon, this is still a pretty good mission when you stack it up against some of the other Cryptic stuff. I mean, you only have 9 missions to do on the Cleon side for Cryptic, so still, pretty good effort. And this is when I still, to people who aren't hopping on the Cleon side right now, like this guy, this is still a mission I'd hop over there on the Cleon side to play as a Cleon, just to go, hey, I'm a Cleon doing actual story stuff. And this is one of them, so check it out. Defend the honor of the Empire after that awesome Foundry mission that we just reviewed. Now, a couple community feedback stuff I want to hit on before we wrap this episode of Foundry Files up. First of all, the poll. We had a poll set up last week where we're asking what's your favorite Foundry asset that you want added into the Foundry. Stuff like extra character customization, more art assets into the Foundry, branching objectives, stuff like that. Tons of stuff. So you can go vote in the poll there, or just leave a comment wherever you're watching this, and you can say, hey, I want this in the Foundry, and here's why. You can also email us at foundryfiles@gmail.com. You can email your comments on our question to you from last week. You can also send us your Foundry trailers. Yeah, the contest is still going on. The deadline for your Foundry trailer submission is October 28th. So send us your trailer. Contest prizes, once again, are 4 Fed mirror ships. You get to pick 2. Each of them are different. The winner gets to pick the 2 they want, and the second place gets the other 2. Then there's a Leda DOF code for the winner, along with a review on the next episode of Foundry Files that follows us picking the contest winner. So send us in your Foundry trailer. There are a bunch of other contest details. You can check the last episode for more of the contest details and stuff. It's like 45 seconds length. Actually, you don't check the last episode. I'll read them off right here now. 45 seconds in length, must include footage from the mission that the trailer is for, and it has to be one of your missions. So you can't use another author's work to submit a trailer. So there's the contest rewards. Deadline, once again, October 28th. Now, also just want to throw out there, we are taking donations for future contest rewards. We don't have tons of ships just pouring out of the sky. So if you have a ship that you're not using, or something that you think people would love as a contest reward, you can send it to us. You can send it to me in game. I'm at Admiral Murphy, and I'll take that. If it's a bug ship, though, unless you got 2, I might take the bug ship. I mean, everybody knows I really want the bug ship. But if you got like a Tholian ship, you can send that to us. We'll use it in a future contest. If you got something that's really cool, we'll use that. And then I just want to throw out there, check out Gates of Stovall. They're doing a Foundry contest right now for creating a mission that involves the Cleons and how they use the time ships and stuff like that. So if you are interested in Cleon Foundry contest with some awesome rewards from the Temporal Lockbox, if you haven't been able to get your hands on the Temporal ship or like the gear or stuff out of that, if you're interested, go check out their contest details on their site. Which is the basic premise for their contest they're having for this is we've already seen what the Federation is like with their time ships and how temporal agencies work on the Fed side. But how do Cleons use time travel? And that's their contest, is to make a Cleon time travel series that focuses on how Cleons in the future are using their time ship and stuff like that. So if you're interested, go check that contest out because there's some pretty cool stuff in there. Almost made me do it, but again, pretty much out of slots. So. But that will wrap up Foundry Files Episode 2. Thanks for watching, everybody, and thanks from WeWe. We will be back next week with more reviews. Don't know what we're reviewing yet. We will see. More Foundry news if more comes out, and covering your feedback. So, thanks for watching Foundry Files, and we will see you next week.
Hey Murphy, you know they put you in a den?
Yes, the bribes for Brand Flakes worked at the convention. I told you I could get into game.
Yeah, it's the ginger Mugatos.
What?
Yeah, separated at birth. You were separated at birth with the actual ordinary Mugatos, but ginger Mugatos, yeah, it's probably you.
I hate you. So what is it? That's totally going in the shower. Oh, okay. Cut that out, but move it to the bloopers. All right. Serious face.
I hate you.
All right. All right. Ready? You ready? Chew your food. Let's go. So wee wee. So wee wee.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go. Actual take. So wee wee, what does the opposite end of like the Grail of Kahless mean? Does he explain that at all?
Well, what it means is there are several prophecies. I'm stalling it.
What?
I just raised my arm. I've still got it in my hand. Hang on. Let me finish it this time.
What
that can
is
go in
it?
the
I
bloopers.
can't see what it is. Is that a cracker or a carrot?
It's a carrot.
Okay, I can't make it out. Why did he hand you a carrot? Are you trying to be healthy?
Every time we have dinner, my dad just pinches a carrot out of the pan and gives it to me because I'm hungry. Usually. It's quite fun, actually.
I hate carrots. I actually hate vegetables, but that's because I'm weird. Well, weird isn't I hate vegetables. But I'm fat, so shut up. Wee Wee's gonna grow bunny ears, everyone. He's gonna get little bunny ears and run around.
That's your job, man.
No, I'm a Mugato. Shut up. I'm way
Yeah.
cooler. I can beat the crap out of Kirk until he shoots me with a phaser.
You're a Mugato with big ears.
They don't have ears. They have a horn. All right, you ready? Do you eat your carrot?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.